The Mariners missed out on Hye-Seong Kim. Where do they go next? Well, it turns out they might be turning to Yon Moncada over at third base. It's been rumored that they are interested in him. We will talk about that as well as some other guys they may be interested that are left on the market. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about the Dodgers and Gavin Lux, who might be out of a job now that Hye-Seong Kim is down there in Los Angeles. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 154 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav network, the Joseph Caffrey episode of the podcast. And before we get started, I do want to let you guys know there is a new spring training Mariners shirt available on fanatics.com that you can go pick up right now. If you use our link down below, it'll help us out and you'll get some cool Mariners spring training merch. They added a bunch of new stuff for the new year. But without further ado, Joe, how are you?
Listen, full disclosure, I'm wearing sunglasses because my eyes are like completely bloodshot. I got 2 hours of sleep. The eye bags underneath my eyes look worse than Logan Gilbert's. I'm a little self-conscious about it right now. So I'm just going to pull back the curtain there. Aside from that, I'm doing very well. Rocket League RLCS is back today officially. Like the final qualifier aspect of a couple of the regions. Not North America. Not yet. That's next weekend. But I'm still very excited. The regular season of football is over. Right in time for Rocket League to come back for me. You know what I mean? Because I care so much, so deeply about football.
Yeah.
So deeply about that wonderful, wonderful sport. Listen. Who hurt me more this year? The Seahawks or the Mariners? The Mariners. And we're 5 days in to the 2025 calendar year. You know what I mean? And they've already hurt me more than the Seahawks did. And Seahawks got eliminated from the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, they're not doing anything. And neither are the Mariners. They missed out on Hye-Seong Kim. Sad. I was very sad. I wanted Kim pretty desperately. I liked the fit quite a bit. Dodgers kind of came in from the top rope. Just, I don't want to say like it felt like a complete slap to the face because like maybe the Mariners really weren't like the final destination that we all thought they were, and we were just kind of open, dreaming, waiting on something good to happen. And now we turn our sights to Yon Moncada. Now, I know Connor, shout out Connor, the Couch GM, had him in his offseason plan. Listen, if you're trying to just, check off some boxes on Connor's offseason plan, Moncada, hey, he fits the bill. It's a decent bounce back candidate, potentially at second and or third. I guess just depends on how he's looking physically. It's a really tough thing to kind of project where he's at because he's been atrocious. Like, truth be told, he has not been that good. He's also just not been that healthy. Since 2022, he has just not played many games. Like, just over 100 over the last 2 seasons. Moncada, it's going to be that 1-year deal, bounce back candidate. You probably give him some escalators to try and get him to sign with Seattle, if that makes sense. If he doesn't necessarily like what other kind of markets he has out there. The thing that is the most worrying about Moncada is the strikeout percentage. I get that fit-wise, yes, he fills a position of need, doesn't really have big platoon splits for a switch hitter. Like, he can hit lefty or righty. Like, he fills a hole in your lineup, in your like bench depth piece kind of area. But we know that that's not what we as fans want for the Mariners as far as positional upgrades for this team. Moncada, like, I think I use the term, it's not a sexy pick, or like whatever. I use that term a lot. This has got to be the least sexy free agent on the market for me personally, thinking about them in a Seattle Mariners uniform in 2025.
Which is why it makes so much sense. Like, Yon Moncada has not played a full season. Well, I mean, ever. The last time he came close, he played 144 games in 2021, put up 4 WAR, hit 263, 375, 412, good for a 116 OPS plus. But over the past few years, and when he played in 104 games in 2022, he had a 77 OPS plus and hit just 212. It's a fit that I think makes some sense. The only thing that I have trouble seeing is if a guy is on the brink of literally being out of baseball, like Yon Moncada, like Major League Baseball, where there's a chance that if he's bad again this year, he might like go overseas or just only get minor league deals, what have you. You probably don't sign with the Seattle Mariners in that regard. With that being said, if you don't have anyone else making you an offer, you probably sign with the Seattle Mariners because they can probably give you a starting job. I
Mm.
don't like starting
Ish.
adjacent
Yeah.
job. Yeah. Um, I don't personally like the fit because of the strikeouts.
Yeah.
Like, you have to make sure if you add Yon Moncada, you better be damn sure you go get a guy who strikes out below like 15% at second base.
Mm-hmm.
You have to offset it somehow. And if Yon Moncada is the guy at third base, I think that you do need to go out there and make at least one, if not two more medium to big moves, because he is about as bottom of the barrel of a move as you can make. Like, I would almost be more comfortable running Dylan Moore and Austin Shenton out there every day
As opposed to
over
giving like
Yon Moncada.
some of the timeshare at third base there to Moncada.
Mm-hmm.
I think what could be encouraging, if I want to start sipping on some Kool-Aid already, is the Victor Robles coming over in the middle of the season, the change of scenery, former very highly touted prospect. I mean, he was ranked ahead of Juan Soto, for crying out loud. There's that very famous picture I think Cespedes Family Barbecue tweeted out with Moncada and Acuna right next to each other. Acuna Moncada. Okay, a little Hakuna Matata action. The very famous picture when they were very young Uber prospects. Moncada was once that dude. Like, he was a very very big deal. And if somehow, some way, the Mariners are able to double dip on the former top prospect turned into a reclamation project that actually goes well, listen, that's about as like lucky stars as you're gonna get. Like, Jerry Justin, go buy a lottery ticket, like send out the winning numbers. Like, that's the moment where you're like, oh my god, we've done it again, let's hit another. Because you know that they're just, if they do it, they're gonna go for a third. And I don't know who it is at that point. Maybe it's like a Matt Mervis. I know he just got traded, but maybe somewhere down the pipeline in a year or two, he's still continuously not getting starts at first base and the Mariners still have a hole. Hey, maybe it's Mervis time in Seattle in 2027. Who knows?
Jared Kelnick.
Again? Whoa, they've never done that. Someone that they once had, bringing him back as a reclamation, that could be huge. I like your vision quite a bit there. But Moncada at third, listen, if that's something that people are excited for, I think if anything happens, I'll be like, yeah, sure. As long as there's something happening. And that's not like this huge money sink. Like, you're not going to give him any more than what, like $4 million?
I'm not giving him any more than two.
More than two? Okay.
Maybe with like some escalators, but
Yeah.
no eels, just escalators.
Just the escalators.
But
Eels.
yeah, I don't know. I don't personally see a fit for a team that desperately needs to cut down on strikeouts to get a guy who strikes out like 30% of the time. That's great. Like, I don't know. I would rather have run Dylan Moore's 25% strikeout rate over there and just a guy who had a decently okay offensive year last year. I'd rather do that personally. So I don't know. Yon Moncada is a guy that I'm not big on. The thing is, if you add Yon Moncada and you add, I don't know, Justin Turner or whatever at first, and then some other like guy at second, what you do is you do raise the floor, probably. But you are not making this team that much better. Like, is Justin Turner going to be a better bet over there at first base than Tyler Locklear? Yes.
Probably.
Is Yon Moncada going to be a better bet over there than Austin Shenton? Yes. Like, is player B going to be a better bet at second base than Dylan Moore or Ryan Bliss? Maybe. But I think that overall, the players that are available to the Mariners, and Yon Moncada was one of them in this article, it's slim pickings, and I think a lot of that stems from the fact that they were pretty certain they were going to get Carlos Santana, and it was a buzzer beater that he decided to go back to the Guardians. I think that he was basically locked in to coming back to the Mariners until they made that Naylor trade. So for the Mariners, they're now kind of left with the scraps because they didn't know how to regroup after that. The first guy on this list from MLB Trade Rumors is Hye-Seong Kim, not Hye-Seong Kim.
Yep.
He was 29, obviously coming off of an injury, where he probably won't play like the first month of the season. But would you be, if they were to add Hye-Seong Kim over at third base instead of Yon Moncada, how would you feel about that?
I'd feel like a fair bit better. Obviously, Kim, he's not going to play, like you said, the first month and a half, however long it takes for him to get healthy. Sure, that's probably a situation where you're probably okay with running out, like you've mentioned, who at third base would be Dylan Moore, Austin Shenton to start the year, and then Kim comes back and replaces those at-bats largely. I think good defense, a down year offensively, but obviously battling with a little bit of an injury. I don't know if we'll ever see his heights kind of get restored to his big season in San Diego, which I think really put his name on the map of like, yo, a lot of teams should want this guy if the Padres do have as crowded of an infield as they do. And well, now he's on the free agent market, but of course it's a little bit different for a guy that similar to Moncada. I don't want to say similar, but like not entirely dissimilar as far as a guy that's going to sign a 1-year deal that needs to prove some sort of worth in 2025 that then can cash out again later in 2026 and beyond. I don't know if Kim's going to get more than a 1-year deal, or at least from Seattle, I don't imagine so. If he has a multi-year deal on the table somewhere else, kiss Seattle goodbye for Hye-Seong Kim. Like the only deal that gets him into Seattle is a 1-year deal, and that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I was kind of hoping, my dog just barked. I was kind of hoping that, because you said left with the scraps, you wouldn't have started with Hye-Seong Kim, because some of the other names here are really rough. But how would you feel about it? I know it's the order of the article. It's the order of the article. I know. You're just doing your logistical things here. I get that, because we'll get to some of these names. But how would I think you'd be on board with Hye-Seong Kim. You've preferred him over Hye-Seong the entire offseason.
Listen, Tony Stark built this with a bunch of scraps, and the Mariners. That probably peaked so bad for editing. And the Mariners are going to do that this offseason, starting with Hye-Seong Kim, who has never put up a B-WAR below 2, by the way, because he's so good defensively. OPS plus is 99 for his career. Like, he's a guy who I personally disagree. I think he signs a 2+ year deal. After coming off of a 233, 330, 370 year, he had 11 home runs, struck out 77 times. I mean, his strikeout rate is what, 15, 16%? It is 18.8% after his first bad year in 2021 with the Padres. But overall, the thing that you get with Hye-Seong Kim over Yoan Moncada, you get great defense.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to move to second base with him. He doesn't strike out, and he's actually performed at the big league level once in a while. Whereas Yoan Moncada did it, once? Maybe twice?
Yeah. Like, one was the juice ball.
Right.
As well.
Yeah. Was that the year he hit 25?
Yerp.
Yeah. Like, and that's over a 9-year career. Kim's only been over here for 4. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I would prefer Kim 10 times out of 10 over Yoan Moncada. Even if you're not able to start the year with him. If you start the year with, Dylan Moore and Austin Shenton or something like that over at third base until Kim's healthy, I can live with that as long as it's only for like a few weeks to a month. Obviously, if it comes out he's going to be out longer, then you have to reevaluate that. But I think that if it is as it sounds, where he'll only be out for like a month, then I'm all on board for that. If you missed Hye-Seong Kim for the month of April, oh well. You're going to miss Julio for the first half because he sucks.
Everyone starts slow anyways in Seattle.
Yeah. So.
I'm surprised you think the Mariners would offer him more than a 1-year contract.
I don't know if the Mariners will, but I can almost guarantee he will get more than that.
Okay, I think I agree. I thought you were saying that in the sense that the Mariners would offer him more than a 1-year deal.
They should with a 1-year deal with an option is what they should do.
Sure. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Would you give Paul DeJong 1 year with an option? What would you do with Paul DeJong in Seattle?
Well, first of all, how much would you offer Hye-Seong Kim for a year?
Like,
where are you at with that?
Probably like 12, 13, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe do 10 and then escalators with games played.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where I'm at too. Like 10 with like
But Carlos Santana got 12. Like
true. That's because the Guardians are stupid. But yeah, I think I'm on board with that. Like I would go 10 with some escalators simply because he's going to be hurt for the first part of the year, but also an option year. Sure, I'm in for that. Paul DeJong, I would offer like a 1 year, like a $5 million deal. Maybe I don't know, because he did hit 24 home runs last year. Like he crushed the ball. Yeah. But he's a guy who, again, what's his career strikeout rate here? It's 27.5%. I'm out. Sorry.
It was over 32 last year.
Yeah, like he's a guy who hit 227. He came off of some really pitiful years with the Cardinals where he hit below the Mendoza line. Like, yeah, he's just a guy who he has not put it this way: Hye-Seong Kim has never put up a WAR below 2.
Hye-Seong Kim.
Sorry, Hye-Seong Kim. God, that's gonna be a problem.
Well, we don't have to worry about it anymore.
True. Hye-Seong Kim has never put up a WAR below 2. Paul DeJong has not put up a WAR above 2 since 2019. Yeah, I'm not in on Paul DeJong. He can keep his happy butt in the National League.
Do you prefer him to Yoan Moncada?
No.
Okay.
I think I'd rather have Yoan Moncada, a guy who does have a little bit more of an upside, potentially. I mean, also, how old is DeJong? He's what, 31?
Yeah.
Like
he's on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah, I mean, with Moncada, he did still put up a WAR. What was his WAR last year? Or I'm sorry, the year before last year.
On Fangraphs, it's like a little bit over 1 in like 90 games.
Yeah, 94, I think. Yeah, so I mean, DeJong hasn't put up a WAR above 1 since 2021. So, yeah, Paul DeJong's just, I'm out. I don't want him.
Not a fan of the high strikeouts, low contact. Last guy, I don't need to give my opinion. I don't give a toot about Paul DeJong. All right, I don't want him. Okay. I know you're laughing. I don't give a toot. There's this guy. Sidebar. There's this guy on TikTok who does good band name, bad band name. And when he doesn't care about your opinion on the matter of what he thinks that you'll think, he just yells, and I don't give a toot. And then it plays this like heavy metal. I don't give a toot. It's really funny. Jose Iglesias, OMG. He's the last guy on this list. I don't know how the Mets don't think that they should, like, why would they not just re-sign him? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't understand what the big idea is with him not already being in a Mets uniform, posted up in a suite with Mrs. Met. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the big idea is. Like, he's got to have a penthouse suite in Queens with whatever. He was the life force for that team down the stretch, it felt like. Hit over 300. Hit over 330. Bro's a contact god. Would that happen in Seattle? Maybe. I don't know. A contact hitter could be nice in the lineup. Luis Ariz. I saw the Twitter discourse. I saw it. Don't you worry. I saw it. I know it's a bit different of an animal there, but Jose Iglesias would be something I'd be very interested in as a bench piece. Would I give him more at bats than Ryan Bliss? Probably about the same timeshare, roughly. Obviously, he's not an everyday guy. He is literally just like a bench piece that has been a professional for a long time. That could provide a little bit of veteran presence. I don't think he's awful with the glove at his age. Was he 35? I don't think he's awful with the glove because that's what he was known for, coming up with the Tigers, with the Red Sox, etc. Like, I would be great. I would be very happy with it. I would, out of the guys not named, I think it goes Hye-Seong Kim, Jose Iglesias, Yoan Moncada, Paul DeJong.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. It'll be interesting to see what kind of deal he does get, because again, he's coming off of an incredible year where he hit 337, 381, 448 with an 830 OPS.
Hello, Victor Robles.
A 130. Wait. A 137 OPS plus. Only 4 home runs, but he strikes out 12% of the time over a 12-year career.
Yeah, no, that's
that is fantastic. He's not going to strike out much. He's going to put the ball in play. Like you said, he is a bit older. He's a bench piece, and I don't think that he would want to come to Seattle as a bench. I will be interested to see. Maybe he is looking for a starting job, and because of that, maybe his market is limited, and maybe the Mets are not willing to give him a starting job, and that is something that is probably plaguing him a little bit in terms of where he's at. Now, I think a lot of it will depend on if the Mets do re-sign Pete Alonso, because if they don't, then you probably see Mark Vientos move to first base.
Yeah.
And then that kind of opens up, like a third base position for Jose Iglesias, whether they want to pair him with Brett Beatty, who we'll talk about shortly, or not. I think that there's just so many things that are being held up right now by like 3 certain players, those 3 being Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, and Roki Sasaki. Like the free agent market is just being stymied right now by that. And I think that because of that, we might not know where Jose Iglesias goes for a little while, but that is it for the free agents. Now we move on to the trade candidates here. And The very first one that is on this list is one we've talked about a lot in Alec Boehm. I don't want to tell you all his stats. We know all about Boehm, blah, blah. We just know that the Phillies asked for Logan Gilbert or George Kirby in return for Alec Boehm because the Phillies are stupid. And
Next.
if somehow that is still the cost, no. However, as things continue throughout the offseason, of course, the Phillies are probably trying to play a, hey, we don't have to trade him. I still think they have every intention of trading Alec Boehm.
Okay.
I still think that their plan is to trade him, that things have soured a little bit, but they were not prepared to trade him that early in the offseason, and rightfully so. They asked for, well, not rightfully so. It was stupid as hell of them to ask for what they did. But they asked for a lot as they still kind of weighed out their options. As we get closer to the end of the offseason, where the needs for the Phillies may become a little bit clearer, where maybe they want to add someone to the back end of their bullpen or something like that. Maybe the Mariners can find a way to strike a deal there. Now, I'm not saying trade Matt Brash or someone for Alec Boehm, but could you get Alec Boehm for like Troy Taylor and like Logan Evans? I don't know. Like
I think maybe if they see the same value that the Mariners hold for
right.
those guys, it's just I think both teams are they're at odds with each other in terms of what kind of value they see from the other side. The Mariners are looking at Alec Boehm as, yeah, an everyday third baseman who is in a contract. It's his final year of arbitration, right? Like it's his final. Like you don't get him beyond this season unless you resign him, which is unlikely. But yeah, you'd be getting a singular season of Alec Boehm for those two pitchers specifically. What would that be? 14 years of control of like very, at least Taylor showed glimpses of being an potential elite back end of the bullpen, high leverage guy. Evans has shown his flexibility in either being a potential middle of the rotation starter for a very deep Phillies bullpen that could help mold him into becoming an even better pitcher, not bullpen, starting rotation, or that same flexibility in, hey, we asked you to become a bullpen guy for a bit. He did it. He did well. Phillies could ask him to do the same exact thing, and they could get two monsters, two demons in their bullpen right away and be set for the next 7 years of having one of the best tandems in a back end of a pen in the National League for a singular season of Alec Boehm. Listen, player evaluation, however you value it, like it's different for everybody. I don't think I want Alec Boehm. I think the fit can make sense. I don't want to put any more thought into what those trades look like. I'd rather take a look at a guy like Willie Castro, who's second on this list for trade candidates, of just kind of like, what could that look like for the Mariners and the Twins, who were trade partners last offseason, obviously, for Jorge Polanco. Willie Castro was a guy on Locked On Mariners offseason plan, or I don't remember if he was part of the final, but I know Ty maybe talked about it. It was like on one of their Control the Zone shows, but Willie Castro, super utility guy, 28, $6-ish million in arbitration. We know the Twins don't want to pay anybody anything ever. Apparently people in Minnesota are stingy. I don't know. It's a position of need for the Mariners because he doesn't just play third. He doesn't just play second. He can play both. He can also play shortstop. Like, this is a guy that makes a lot of sense at $6 million for the Mariners to go out and acquire, who is not, I don't think, as prolific offensively, potentially, as Alec Boehm, but I think provides more flexibility offensively in terms of what he can do for you. Like, he can go on a tear and just start popping a bunch of homers, but he also has the capacity to run bases really well. I think Willie Castro is a guy that, rightfully so, would be a great fit in Seattle. I think just like what the team needs, because it almost checks off two birds with one stone in a certain way. What I would trade for him, I don't know what the Twins want, man. They're not like, are they taking a step back and want prospects? Do they want young controllable pitching? Like, I'm not trading Miller or Wu. Sorry, that's not happening. So it's like, is it we're just dangling young starting pitching in front of them again, like similarly like how you're saying for the Phillies, for like, is it Logan Evans and like another like top 15-ish prospect in there? Maybe. Are you throwing them a bullpen piece? I don't like. We haven't seen enough moves, I think, around the league to really justify or like quantify like what a trade for Willie Castro would look like. Is it as like bona fide as the Jorge Polanco trade? I think it's probably one piece less, if anything. I could see a 1-for-3 swap here. making a fair amount of sense. A reliever joining the Twins, and then 2 prospects is what I would do for Willie Castro.
So Trent Thornton.
Sure.
2 prospects. I don't know where to begin with. Like, who was the Gabby Gonzalez of that deal?
I would say Trent Thornton. You could throw Logan Evans. I've assumed the Twins probably want pitching. It's probably not how Gabby Gonzalez was a top 5 in the organization at the time, and then it was Darren Bowen, who was like in the 20 to 30 range. I think you're probably looking at 2 higher guys as opposed to 1 higher, 1 lower.
So if you did Trent Thornton, like Logan Evans
and DeWalt Joseph.
Interesting. What if you did Dominic Canzone?
If they want that, sure. I mean, Kepler's gone. Could be an interesting piece for them. Kirilloff retired. Like, it's a possibility that they want someone to give Major League at-bats to that's going to be cheap and cost-controlled. Sure, I'd do Dom Canzone, Logan Evans, and Trent Thornton for Willie Castro. I think I would.
Personally. Is this... How many more years of control does Castro have? Free agent, so 2. So he'd be a free agent after next season. So, yeah, I think that he's fine. I mean, you look at his numbers, a little bit above average strikeout rate. Like, he strikes out like 2% more than league average. Not bad. Does not hit the ball hard at all. Pretty low in that regard. But at the same time, put up a 717 OPS last year. I don't know. He's a fine 9-hole hitter.
I think Castro's a free agent in 2026.
Oh, you're right. You're right. My bad.
It is just 1 year.
I misunderstood that. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, I'm personally... The package we just said, I'm not willing to give all that up for 1 year of Willie Castro.
All right.
I personally don't think that Willie Castro raises the floor any more than Dylan Moore already does as a starting player. And I don't necessarily know how I feel about that. Like if I agree with myself there, but his profile to me seems very similar to that of Dylan Moore's.
Okay.
Other than the strikeout rates, Dylan strikes out a little bit more, but. I mean, a guy who can swipe a lot of bags, play all around the diamond, can put up okay-ish defense. I mean, Dylan Moore has more pop in his bat, in my opinion. Now, maybe the 2 could complement each other, but yeah. I worry that you are just adding a bunch of Dylan Moores to your roster, to a roster that needs a Pete Alonso. And that's the thing that worries me. Now, we know they're not going to get the Pete Alonso, so I guess adding a few Dylan Moores is better than adding nothing. But I don't know. I just the cost that we just talked about, I think I'm out on that deal personally.
But you'd probably like packaged around like Dominic Canzone, given the Twins like need for outfield help potentially, and another piece.
Like if it was Dominic Canzone and Trent Thornton, I'd probably do it. But I'd be hesitant to put Logan Evans to that deal unless the Mariners were able to come up with a way to add another starting pitcher some way somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Brett Beatty.
No,
man.
Next.
Perfect. Yeah, he's awful. He is so bad at baseball. Career 215, 282, 325 hitter with a 607 OPS.
Hold on, wait. I continue your thoughts. I'm just gonna ask you for that slash line once again, shortly.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
But continue what you're saying.
A career 26.4% strikeout rate, a little above league average. He does hit the ball harder than league average, so that's cool, I guess. Career OPS plus of 70, has 15 home runs over 169 nice games. 2 stolen bags. He's just not a good baseball player. Has a career negative 0.7 WAR. Brett Beatty, automatic no.
I agree, automatic no. It just doesn't seem like the right time for a project like that. What was the slash line? It
was 215, 282, 325, good for a 607 OPS.
Okay. Mariners slash line last year, 224, only 9 points better, but 311 OBP, 376 slug. So they, professional hitters get on base and they hit dingers, unlike Brett Beatty.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at everything you said there, he was worse than the Mariners offense last year that made me want to pull my hair out. So yeah, Brett Beatty, ass. We don't want him. And he actually rounds out the list there, but we do have one other player to talk about. And that is kind of the big package here, which is Gavin Lux, because while the Dodgers are saying that they plan to have Gavin Lux at second base and Mookie Betts at shortstop, with Hye-Seong Kim kind of being a roamer, like a little super utility kind of player, there have been rumors that the Mariners have been aggressive on a trade for Gavin Lux, even prior to the signing of Hye-Seong Kim. Now, Gavin Lux is a guy who has been around for a little while for the Dodgers. He's been around since 2019. Obviously missed all of 2023 with that ACL tear.
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, he hit 251, 320, 383, good for a 703 OPS and a 101 OPS plus with 10 home runs. He struck out 110 times, which put him at about league average for his strikeout rate. He was good for a 2.1 WAR. Now, Gavin Lux is 27 years old. He is a Kenosha, Wisconsin guy, very similar to, Wisconsin guy Jared Kelenic. Wait. But you would have him for the next 2 seasons. He's making what, like $2.6 million in 2025. Like, he's cheaper than Hye-Seong Kim was. And in my opinion, he will be better in 2025, potentially 2026, than Hye-Seong Kim will be, unless Kim does something that we have never really seen from a player coming over from Korea, and that is, hit the ground running immediately.
Yeah, make those adjustments quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Being aggressive scares me a little bit as far as what that means that the Mariners are doing, as far as like how they're evaluating what this trade package looks like. Let's go back to the Willie Castro trade. Logan Evans, Trent Thornton, and maybe the Dodgers aren't interested in Dom Canzone, obviously, because they've got Edman, they've got Teo, they've got Conforto, so maybe it's more so an infielder. Would you... I don't want to say Ryan Bliss, because that kind of like eliminates the... Not eliminates, but like it's... You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot with, I guess, quality major league depth that can play in the bigs in 2025. But we all know that we're just kind of like waiting on Cole Young anyways. Would you trade Thornton, Evans, and Bliss for Gavin Lux? Or because you're getting him for 2 years, he's going to be cheap. Or is it going to cost less than that?
I would do that trade.
You would.
Yeah, which I don't love, because I do think that Ryan Bliss has the potential to be at least Gavin Lux in 2025.
I agree.
But we haven't seen it. And with Gavin Lux, we have seen it actually for the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's put up that he is able to play. Obviously, didn't get to play in 2023. And I think it was Ty that posted it. But after the month of like July, Lux was a really, really good player. He hit like 286 or something like that. Well, I'll try to find what Ty said here in just a second. But in 2022, Lux put up a 276, 346, 399 slash with a 109 OPS plus. He doesn't hit for a whole lot of power. That's only probably going to diminish a little bit in Seattle just based on the lineup that's going to be around him. But he's a guy that you put in at like eighth or ninth in your lineup, and you feel pretty good about that. If you were to sign him, go get Justin Turner and add Yoan Moncada, I don't love it, but that is an offseason that I can look at and say, the Mariners
better.
Did something. Are they better? I don't know. That would require Mitch Garver to be good next year.
Yeah.
But we have a full year of Randy Rosarena now. We view him as our big offseason addition. Shut up, Jerry. But I mean, a 2.8 WAR in 2022, a 2.4 in 2024, like, yeah, that's fine. And I think that over at second base, compared to what we've seen over the past like 4 or 5 years, that would be far and away the best player you've had at second base since, I don't even know.
I mean,
shit,
like
since Cano?
Yeah, probably. I think if you're looking at it from like an all-around player as far as like offense, defense, like everything considered, yes, best offensive second baseman. Obviously, Caballero is a bit of a different conversation because like defense and speed. Second half, Gavin Lux in 2024 had a 304 slash line, or 304 batting average, 391 on base, a 508 slug for an 899 OPS, almost a niner there. Hit 7 of his 10 home runs, hit 16 doubles, like had the same amount of hits as he did in the first half, and 23 of them were extra base hits. Like almost a little under half of his hits in the second half were extra base hits. So yeah, turned it on in July and just never really never really turned back. Splits are pretty atrocious. Doesn't hit lefties like really at all. Only got 50 plate appearances and hit 152 against them last season. So I don't think trading Bliss is necessarily smart. If you can like somehow get another, like if it's Leo Rivas, if it's Samad Taylor in there instead. I think obviously that's my preference. And if you have to go a little bit higher than a Logan Evans, like if you jump up into like, I mean, what's higher than Evans? It's Sanger Sloan.
Sloan and Sanger,
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe you give them another piece, so it's like a 1-for-4. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely certain what the Dodgers would be wanting. Maybe it's a pitcher that's really far away, like Dylan Wilson, as well. Like just like a stupid flyer lottery, like way later, that you can just kind of say like, what were we gonna do with him anyways?
I think what you have to do in that deal is you have to step up actually over Trent Thornton and maybe go with like Troy Taylor or something like that, which I would assume the Dodgers value a little bit more. I don't know that for sure.
Sure.
But someone they can add to their bullpen that, I mean, their bullpen is good, right?
Mhm.
But like, it's not going to hurt you to add Troy Taylor, who has a high upside. I think that Trent Thornton is one of your, I don't want to say he's one of your least valuable pitchers, because that's not true. But
I think, do you trade Snyder or do you trade Taylor?
I would do Snyder in that deal.
Snyder feels like the Topa
Yeah.
from previous off seasons guy that they find just and then ship him off. I know that we've kind of been waiting on that to be Thornton, but Thornton's not good enough to, I think, be evaluated in that same way. I think Snyder could be interesting there. And I feel like I'd rather have Taylor than I'd have Snyder.
Same.
I think.
Yeah.
Long term.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think that's fine. I think that'd be a fine deal to go out there and make, as long as the Mariners do go out there and add to their bullpen after that. And now, whether that be bringing up Brandon Garcia, like they need to add to their bullpen no matter what. Like that we've, and like there are options out there, of course. Like Andrew Kittredge is a guy we've talked about a lot. I mean, Paul Sewald's out there if the Mariners can find a way to fix him from last year. Like there are guys out there, and if the Mariners are good at one thing, I've told you, we've all said this a million times, they're good at making something out of nothing for pitchers. As Ty stated at the end of his tweet here, could be a flash in the pan, talking about his second half, could be a flash in the pan, or perhaps a sign of a former top prospect finally finding his way after suffering a significant injury. From July 1st onward, he had a 11.8% walk rate, a 137 WRC plus, a 24% K rate, and hit 282, 370, 469 from July 1st onwards.
I'm in.
Sounds like Julio.
Do you imagine just everyone on fire in the? I mean, we'll get the winningest month in Mariners franchise history again, just like we did August 2023. Everyone's going to be batting 400. Vibes are going to be high.
But I don't know. I think that it's a good fit. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's a guy who I guess I haven't really viewed as an option, because obviously the Dodgers hadn't added anybody. Now that they have, Lux is a little bit more expendable for them, and if they get the right package back in terms of talent they're adding to their major league team, because clearly the Dodgers want to repeat in 2025, and they have done everything in their power to do so. I would be shocked, honestly, if they don't at this point. I think that Lux becomes expendable for them. Let us know in the comments down below how you feel about all these players, and if you think Gavin Lux is a good fit for the Mariners moving forward. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 154 of the Hit It Here podcast, the Milo Millions episode of the podcast, and go Mariners.